I love the whole Japanese samurai tradition and the story, and it's a beautiful sword, so I couldn't refuse it, so I took that one too.
Before Dana White was UFC president, he was often referred to as MMA fanatic and coach, although he has made his name by being the controversial, aggressive, and charismatic president of the UFC franchise. Since becoming the official president in 2001, White has helped UFC climb the ranks to become a billion-dollar sport in the business. He has helped catapult UFC, making it one of the most popular and watched sports and also one of the most lucrative. Dana White is often covered by the media, with many controversial titles attached to his name. He is often in personal feuds or some sort of drama or controversy. Since Dana White is a household name among MMA fans alike, we thought we would cover some of the shocking facts you didn't know about Dana White's life. But before we get into the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on so you don't miss any of the new videos we post. Once admitted that woman would not compete in UFC. In 2011, when confronted by popular media outlet TMZ, White was asked if he would follow the likes of Bellator and Strikeforce and introduce a women's division to the UFC. To many people's dismay, he quickly responded, never. Despite claiming that women would never be a part of UFC, nearly 2 years later, he introduced women into the company in December 2021, with Ronda Rousey being the face of the entire UFC at that time. He has a gambling addiction. Dana White has consistently been accused and suspected of having a gambling addiction. However, it became real when his own mother implicated him in her book, Dana White, King of MMA, where she says Dana can lose $1 million gambling in a few hours and just shrug it off, but he can't help out his 93-year-old grandmother. She goes on to say he bets $50,000 per hand in blackjack and will not walk away from the casino until he has made at least $5 million. Compared Chris Cyborg to a man. It's common knowledge that Chris Cyborg and Dana White don't have the best working relationship, with Chris actually walking away from UFC earlier this year. Many remember the relationship best for when White, during a press conference, completely unprovoked said Cyborg looks like another UFC fighter, Wanderlei Silva, in a dress and high heels. Not much is known about Dana White's family, but that is on purpose. Dana's mom June hates her son, and we're not even exaggerating. In a tell-all interview in 2011, she explained why. She basically accuses her son of breaking promises, losing his morals when he started making millions, and cheating on his wife countless of times. He lets the biggest stars of UFC violate the rules. Just like any other massive sport in the United States, UFC has become a gold mine, literally, bringing in over $1 million annually. As you probably already gather, UFC likes to spend a lot of money on their image and how the public perceive them. They love to promote certain fighters who are involved in outside organizations like charities, campaigns, and social awareness programs. UFC will also highlight lesser skilled fighters over more skilled fighters just because of their personalities and personas. Due to this fact, those highly regarded fighters can often get away with breaking a lot of the rules. One of the greatest fighters of our generation, John Bones Jones, is like the Muhammad Ali of MMA, yet he is always in trouble and faces suspensions for his actions. All while other skilled fighters are getting away with rules that are strictly prohibited, and all because they have captivating personalities that get the ratings going up. Romance rumors. There was a point in time when a rumor was swirling around that Dana White and former UFC champion Ronda Rousey were having a secret romantic relationship. Although this rumor has never proven, it's quite widely accepted as truth. Given the huge level of control he had over the company, many believe that he had exercised his power to boost Ronda's MMA career to get a bit more romance in return. Quite scandalous and controversial if you ask me, even a little sleazy. But would you expect anything else from the infamous Dana White? The bashing of Loretta Hunt. Dana has made it known that he does not like journalism and he strongly dislikes journalists when they're criticizing the UFC. Loretta Hunt happened to be one of those journalists. While Loretta was working for SureDog, she published an article about managers and agents having backstage access restricted. White did not like this one bit and began ripping into Hunt in a YouTube video, and also offended the LGBT community at the same time. In the article, there were reports of rocky relationships between the founding members of UFC, SureDog, Jeff Sherwood, and White. This shows White's immaturity when it comes to being a business owner and having a good name for yourself. He continues to rant on about the character of Hunt, looking extremely unprofessional throughout the entire clip. He even bought Hunt from certain UFC fights and events. Compared a hack to 9/11. I think everybody in the world knows about the horrific, extremely tragic events of September 11, 2001. If not, you might have been just born yesterday or something like that. The event caused so much hatred in the world and showed just how cruel and callous some members of our society can be. In 2012, the UFC system got hacked. Later, when recounting the experience alongside Mauro Ranallo, White tried to use the 9/11 events as an analogy to compare what had happened to him and his company. He made a clear comparison between the hackers and the 9/11 terrorists. This was very disrespectful and very rude and ignorant to say. As you can imagine, the public backlash was very harsh, seeing as literally everyone else had the complete opposite take of the situation. UFC 167 post-press conference. Georges St Pierre is a legend in the UFC world and arguably the best fighter in the UFC before he retired in 2013. He's the most dominant welterweight champion in history and has won many awards for his incredible performances. Georges St Pierre made his official debut in 2004 and helped the company grow to where they are today, a multi-billion-dollar business. This is why when Dana White got up at the post-press conference and blasted St Pierre, it took everyone by surprise. White appeared outraged that St Pierre would announce his retirement in front of everyone. He even kept asking the audience if they believed Hendricks had won the fight. He continued to embarrass himself by saying St Pierre owes the fans and Hendricks another match. What White chooses to ignore is that St Pierre put his life on the line in the octagon for over 9 years, definitely doesn't owe the UFC anything, and if anything, they should be honoring his time at the UFC. Obvious favoritism for certain fighters. White is commonly criticized for being biased towards certain players, blatantly favoring them over others. We understand and are aware that as a successful business owner, you always pay more attention to the cash cow who's making you the most income, but in a world like sports, there should be morals and rules around biases like this that can drastically impact their professional career and, more importantly, their earnings. Disrespecting honorable fighters. John Fitch was a well-known fighter among the UFC world. Even though he never won a title or a championship, he always brought his A game to the ring. He might not have been the best striker, but he definitely gave it his all and performed relatively well during his time with the UFC. His record stood at 24 wins, 5 losses, 1 draw, before the UFC decided to fully cut Fitch from their organization in 2013. It's uncommon for a fighter to get fired simply because someone higher up dislikes you, simply for nothing or no reason at all. Normally, fighters are released when they perform terribly or they have taken part in something illegal. Fitch, on the other hand, apparently got sacked because he didn't want to give UFC lifetime rights to his name. For example, if they wanted to use him as a character in a video game and other opportunities of the sort. Instead of compromising and negotiating a good deal with one of the best welterweights in the division, and a fan favorite obviously, White and his team decided to go cold turkey and just fire Fitch. Very unreasonable and unprofessional on Dana's part. False statements to hype up the audience. Dana White has said a lot of things during his career, and we mean a lot of things. Majority of them are controversial or striking in some manner, usually taking us by surprise. But one of the most elaborate and untrue statements he told the UFC audience was that Dana, who was a former amateur boxer, wanted to fight the great and legendary MMA fighter Tito Ortiz. They even went as far as to make a television special hyping up the event, letting fans believe this event was actually going to take place when in reality there was no chance of it ever happening. The show got extremely high ratings, no surprises there, but Tito never showed up for the weigh-in, probably the pre-calculated move by UFC, so the fight never happened. Many believe this was just another stunt to get higher ratings and more viewers tuning into the UFC. And there you have it, some interesting and not so great facts about Dana White. Although everyone is pretty much aware of how outrageous and controversial Dana White is, we hope a few of these surprised you. Sadly, that's all the time we have for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss any of our new content.